Okay, when we left Amaya, she had just used the aragonite that she was supposed to be giving Le Guin to repair Inez's pearl of curiosity so that Inez could become human again. What do you think that Amaya's thinking and feeling? How do you think she feels right now? And what would you do if you were in Amaya's place? I have thought about this one a lot, and I'm really not sure what I would do. Most of me hopes that I would be able to do what Amaya did, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, well, let's pick up, though, with the story where we left off, which is Chapter 17, The Promise. It took a long time for Amaya to find her way back to school. She wasn't hungry, she wasn't tired, and she wasn't in any rush to face the consequences of returning to Le Guin empty-handed. She happened through the place she and Inez had found the bioluminescent octopuses and stopped to take a closer look. And when she was frightened by a shadow that flashed overhead, she felt around inside herself for her fear, which had spread as far as her thumbs, then gathered it into a ball and put it back in her boring turret shell for safekeeping. She had a much better time observing the octopuses without it. Her only regret was that she didn't have anything to take notes with. That was easy to keep contained, though, when there were so many wonderful things to see. She took her time among the sea anemones and marveled at how much they looked like flowers. She saw stingrays and manta rays and crabs smaller than her fingernails. She explored the reef and didn't decide to pull out her regret until the coral stung her right side when she accidentally brushed against it. It was incredibly painful and made Amaya wish she had never gone into the coral in the first place, which, Amaya decided, was no way to be. So she gathered up her regret and placed it in her shell as well. It didn't make it go away entirely. In the shell, it was still right next to her heart. It just bothered her a little less. No matter where she went or what she saw, Amaya was careful to avoid the mermaids. She'd gone so long without seeing one, but now that she had, she saw them everywhere. She only had to squint and hold herself still to see a shimmer somewhere in the distance with the unmistakable feel of a mermaid. Part of her wanted to swim toward those shimmers, to be surrounded by mermaid magic again. She didn't. She didn't dare. She just did her best to stay still and quiet and out of trouble whenever she felt one close. But when she came across a watcher, which seemed to happen more and more often, Amaya did the exact opposite. What worked best with watchers was to steer them in another direction. Sometimes she even managed to steer them toward something wonderful. There were so many wonderful things to choose from that would keep them occupied and away from the water children. And every time she did that, the regret she felt from leaving her parents behind got a little smaller. Her father didn't care about the sea, but her mother never would have seen so many wonderful things without her help. She was being useful for them and the water children, and that felt good. Eventually, Amaya happened upon some familiar craggy rocks and followed them back to school. Everything was the same as when she had left it, except possibly a bit cheerier. There were water children swimming to and fro, moving above and below and diagonal in groups of 2s and 3s. She saw Cato, but she didn't pay him or his supremely fluffy hair much attention until she was surrounded by a circle of water children. "What do you want?" Amaya said. The study circle had formed the same shape they had when they asked her to join them. If they thought she had changed her mind, they had another thing coming. "We came to apologize," Ari said. "To Inez," Harmony finished. Amaya was taken aback. Water children never apologized. "It's too late. She's gone." "Gone where?" Cato said. "It must have been him who went to get the others." "Land," Amaya said simply as she swam around them. They were no concern of hers. Le Guin was in her office as usual. This time, she was studying a thin slab of marble etched with gold writing. There was a whole stack of them in an open cupboard in front of her. The door was open, so Amaya swam in without knocking. Le Guin just placed the slab of marble on the stack with the rest and let the cupboard door float shut. "The aragonite," Le Guin said. Her voice was quiet. "I don't have it," Amaya said. She felt her fear trembling in her boring turret shell, but refused to let it vibrate through her. She had seen the sea foam. She knew what happened next. "I used it to fix Inez's curiosity. She wanted to know what it was like to have a family. She's never had one. Not really." Le Guin gave a little half-laugh. "How ironic. I tried to be her family, but I suppose it was not meant to be." Le Guin's half-laugh turned into a gurgling sigh. It took that much for Amaya to realize that Le Guin was sad. Le Guin was always so strong, so magical. It was hard to imagine her being hurt. Amaya moved to comfort her, but Le Guin put up a hand to stop her. "It's okay. No matter how much we want to help someone, we must accept that we can only do what we can, and sometimes what we can do is not enough." "It worked, I assume." "What?" Amaya asked. "The aragonite," Le Guin said. She had pulled herself back upright and arranged her inky black tentacles elegantly. "Did it repair Inez's curiosity?" "Sort of," Amaya said. "It kept soaking in." Le Guin nodded. "Poor little thing, carrying so much pain that was never hers to begin with. That's true for all water children. Well, most, but Inez especially." "That's true for all water children. Well, most, but Inez especially. I hoped that someday she would heal enough to be happy. Perhaps that time is now." Le Guin mustered up a smile, her tentacles rippling delicately around her. "I always hoped she would choose the sea, but one never knows what one will choose until one has a choice. I intended to use the aragonite to heal Inez's pearl, but it seems you've done that for me. Thank you." Amaya was relieved. No, happy. She'd been wandering around, unable to regret what she'd done, yet fearful of Le Guin's wrath. Now all of that was over. Le Guin wasn't angry. "So, that's it?" Amaya asked. "The promise is over? I can go exploring again?" "Oh, no, my dear. A promise is never broken with the sea. The sea won't let you go again until you've fulfilled your end of the bargain." "That's why I couldn't take off my pendant," Amaya said. "You had not fulfilled your promise, but you needn't be afraid. You still can." "But I can't." The Ancient One has gone underground. There's no time limit on the promise. As long as the Ancient One lives, there is still a chance you can fulfill the bargain. Until then, you must remain in the sea." There was a rumble, like thunder, and everything went dark. "Did you do that?" Amaya clutched her pendant and swished her tail, hoping the bioluminescent algae would light up. Nothing happened. "Of course not," Le Guin said. "I don't have that kind of strength. The mermaids are summoning us." Okay, that's where we're going to stop. If you have time for another, you know what to do. But if not, that's okay. I'll see you next time.